Hey, Maria, back with another video. It's 8:13 p.m. It is August 20th, and it is Thursday evening. And I made a few videos today, but I'm in my room right now, and it's dark, and I'm going to try to get some sleep. I didn't sleep very well last night. The air conditioner in my room, the vent is directly facing me, and so, you get a little sinus pressure because I don't like cold air in my face. I really don't. So I didn't sleep very well because my sinuses were bothering me because of the air conditioner. And then I turned the vent off, but it was too late because I was already affected. So my sinuses have calmed down, so I'm hoping I get some sleep tonight. But at least I could say my problems with sleep and rest and relaxation wasn't an issue relating to my targeting. It was an issue because of my sinuses. But I'm feeling fine right now. So anyway, I wanted to make this video because number one, I feel socially isolated, and I really wish I had a conversation going with someone, like, other than being a targeted individual, not talking about workplace mobbing or stalking or anything. I wish I just had a regular conversation. More than anything in this world, I would enjoy a conversation. But, I have to be very careful about who I communicate with, who I, become friends with, or who I talk to. And, no one likes to be that way because, when I was younger, I was always open to anyone being my friend. And because I just figured people were just as sincere as I was, right? I never thought people had motives or anything like that. But, the older I get, the more I understand. And it's sad because, I think about when I was younger and how, you're innocent and you see this world as like, you understand that there's some evil, but you don't realize to what extent there's of the evil there exists on this earth. You're like, wow, it's kind of hard to believe, when people used to tell me that they were good and they went to church or whatever. Well, when people told me they went to church, okay, they never said, oh, I'm good and I go to church, but I always thought, oh, well, they must strive to, be like Christ. That's what I thought. And I just assumed that they were people that you could trust, but not necessarily. Okay. Anyway, because there are hypocrites in this world, we know that. But I wanted to make a video just to make mostly talk, but this video is more for like targeted individuals, not for my perps or anything. But, I was thinking how important it is for targets to talk about their situation. I know that we're isolated. I know that we're not able to, have our voice heard, like in the public sector. Um, when you go, some of the targets who do work, you certainly aren't going to be talking about your targeting at the job, right? And you certainly can't really trust your neighbors or anything. Although I have to say, the neighborhood that I live in, I haven't had any problems with my neighbors. I, did encounter one neighbor that seemed a little too friendly, and, I'm glad that, that's died down, but I think it had something to do with my targeting. But other than that, I think that, my neighborhood is okay. I don't deal with anything unusual anymore. But still, as a whole, I mean, targets tend to be, you know, um, they tend to encounter a lot of people that are nurturing some sort of odd intentions, so you got to be careful. And, everybody wants to have friends. I mean, everyone does, okay? Now, I'm the kind of person, I don't need 20 friends. I doubt 20 friends could really exist, okay? But, it's nice if you can find a decent person, someone that you can confide in, and they are rare, okay? That's why I'm saying if there's 20 people, chances are, they're not going to be that sincere. Some of them might be, what's the word for it? Lunch mates. They might, you might have a conversation with them. But when it comes to trust and people that you really want to love, when I mean love, I'm talking about a platonic love, a love that shows deep caring and concern for it. That is something that is very special. And most people, sadly, aren't really worthy of that, right? So, anyway, I'm getting off off the subject. But see, I want to talk so bad that, I'm just kind of going on and on and on and on. And first of all, I'd like to say to my community that I live in, um, I live in Bakersfield, California, that my videos are not meant to be overkill. Like, I talk a lot about my targeting, but it's mainly because that's really all I have in my mind left to talk about, because I don't want to think about the past, because I feel as though my past was extremely tragic. My present moments are very boring, and my future is something to be determined. And it's very frustrating and sometimes depressing when I think about, the struggles that I have to deal with. So, and the reason why I'm dealing with the struggle is because I'm targeted. So, and I've dealt with targeting. So, when I over talk about it, it seems like I'm over talking about it, but the reasons, I have my reasons, okay? Because number one, there's a lot of people who got involved in my targeting who thought that they were doing the right thing. Like, maybe they thought because they made it a religious issue that this was an issue relating to morals or whatever the case is. I would say that this is not how you handle it, but um, but there's always more information when you start to think, or sometimes your mind regurgitates things that happened, especially if you're dealing with trauma. Your mind regurgitates things, but even though that's kind of a negative thing, it's also a positive thing because it adds pieces to the puzzle, and so you start realizing, okay, and it's important to communicate that, because people will literally accuse you and mistreat you based off of one-sided information. And as a target, you don't get to voice yourself. You are basically having to be subjected to all kinds of abuse, and you are basically denied your rights as a human being. Like, you don't negotiate your financial issues because there's somebody else thinking that they can manipulate those sort of things. And so your voice doesn't get heard. And when you're dealing with people who claim to be in positions of authority, people don't question authority, and they should. Not out of an act of rebellion, but even authority figures can become tyrannical. And that's one of the reasons why they have checks and balances in our government, even though sometimes things do get out of hand and corruption does exist, okay? But the idea of the setup, okay, is commendable, and I respect that. Even though, when it comes to really practicing or putting these things in place, they get overlooked, and it's unfortunate, but that's how things are supposed to be. And I believe in the laws of this country. I think they were written very well, and they cover so many issues that relate to human nature. Like, if whatever is possible that a human can do, pretty much law has it covered, okay? So I respect laws, okay? I do. But we have problems because, like I said, people don't either know about them or they ignore them. But I would say, for the most part, especially when it comes to workplace mobbings, and then community harassments and things like that, there's a lot of people who aren't necessarily evil involved in this sort of program. They think that this could be an administration thing, and they kind of respect it. They might think it's a little harsh or maybe over the top, but because they're people who are in positions of authority, whether that be a former boss or whatever, or maybe ex-family member or whatever, they think, okay, well, they'll blindly go along with it, not understanding the entire thing. But I like to I want to encourage targeted individuals to make videos about their situation, even if they don't know who their perps are, and just talk about the things that happen to you. And as you remember them, or if you have something that you remember that happened to you, talk about it. And as you go along, like it took me 1,000 something videos to put everything together. But for the people who don't know who their perpetrators are, if you start talking about it, the issues, like your workplace mobbing, the people that you've encountered, the things that are being said to you, and just keep going back and sharing your memories, you'll you'll eventually figure it out and you'll pinpoint it. It's important that you know what's happening to you because there's a lot of people who don't know what's happening to them. And it maybe no, it doesn't stop things immediately, or but still, number one, you need to get your story told. It's wrong that we exist in a situation where we don't have our voices heard. And that's a terrible thing. And the isolation is one of the most painful things that anyone can ever do to a person. Okay. They'll isolate you in your workplace. You might be in a job where you're either working all by yourself, or people are being encouraged to avoid talking to you or whatever. You're always in a special situation that's depriving you of your human rights, and you don't get a chance to express yourself. And that's so wrong. It's so wrong. But still, the videos will allow you to have your voice heard, and other targeted individuals would be interested in hearing your story, and you can meet other targeted individuals. Now, I've met some people who are targeted individuals. I really clicked with one of them, and this person passed away, and it was very heartbreaking at the time when she died. But I will say that when I think about her situation, as with many targeted individuals, I have to say that her perps are to blame for her death. I will say that, and I say that because I mean it, and I believe it 100%. There's a tremendous amount of stress that goes on in a target's life, and I and I do believe that her illness was a result of her targeting. I really do, and it's a it I think sometimes some perps put you in this program out of ignorance. Maybe they come from traditional families and they think they're doing the right thing. They think they're doing the right thing by maybe limiting you in some way because they think that, you might, I don't know, veer off into something dangerous. Okay. I don't believe that what happened to me was for my own good. I believe it was malicious. But there are some people who ignorantly think that they're doing the right thing. And but they're not, okay? But whether they do it out of ignorance or they do it for ill intentions or whatever, it's still wrong because you're depriving a person of their basic rights. So anyway, so I was thinking today, and I've been flipping this over back and forth in my mind about being open about being a targeted individual, and I don't ever like talking about this, like, outside of my videos. But what if you did mention that at a job interview? What if you did? What if you did just come out and say, instead of trying to cover the mistakes of other people, and you're shouldering this burden, and I will tell you, everyone in your community that you're going to interview with knows that you're a targeted individual, okay? They know it, okay? Everyone knows you're a targeted individual. But why should you have to come up with, an answer? Because, if you ever study, like, interviews, doing job interviews, and they'll give you examples of the questions that an interviewer will ask you, and then you come up with a professional answer, right? It's very difficult to explain your erratic job history for the last few years. And so, I think just saying, I was a victim of human trafficking for 7 years. And actually longer than that, when I think about the workplace mobbings that occurred before leaving the main employer that intensified my targeting. But I think it relieves you of having to come up with some bullshit. Oh, I was looking for different opportunities. I wanted to expand my horizons. I wanted to take off from work because I just wanted to do other things and then go back to it. Whatever excuse you have to come up with. Why not be honest about it, I mean, without casting blame. Just don't mention any names. Just be honest about it. Um, I wish that every targeted individual would be set free from this program, and I know that not everybody is going to, and I know there's always somebody out there who is going to abuse another person, and it really is heartbreaking when I think of the people that suffer, in this program. But the only thing that you can do is you can speak up and advocate for yourself. And you can do that, if you don't want to make videos. I know, I had a friend who made flyers and passed them out in her community. Like, she went to the grocery store and she passed them out to clerks that she knew. And, in public places, you can do that. But I will tell you, that's not the most pleasant thing to do, and it seems like that's a lot of energy. But I think videos are good, and you could send them to people that you used to know, you know, and because when I first made my videos, I sent them to my previous employers. And yeah, I did do that, because I felt like people needed to know about this. And I figured they kind of knew anyway. But do something to get your voice heard. It is very lonely. I would think that say that it's a lonely world, even if you're not a targeted individual. If you're the kind of person who has standards, you don't want to waste your time with the gossipers, the backstabbers. You still have to use discernment when it comes to, selecting friends. But when you're a targeted individual, it's so sad because you feel like you can't trust anyone. And sad to say, it is wise to be that way because, um, people can cause you a lot of damage. They can cause you, a lot of pain. And anyway, so if you can make videos, make videos. If you can, if you've been struggling with, dealing with your gaps in your employment, try just come out and say it. You're a targeted individual. No, you don't have to say that, but you can just say, I experienced an issue relating to human trafficking. I was a victim, and that's pretty much all you have to say. Oh, so I don't know. I would like to get your feedback on that issue because, I play with it in my mind because I have a lot on my mind right now. Like, I'm constantly thinking about the path that I was led on against my will, I might add. So you wonder, like, you think about restructuring your resume, you think about restructuring your cover letter, you think about restructuring, how you communicate to, employers and those sort of things, and you agonize about it because you are constantly worried about, your future, you know? So I would like your feedback on that. What do you think about just coming out and saying it, but not in like a shocking way or anything like that? And if I'm talking slurred or slow, it's because I'm starting to get a little tired here. I'm getting a little tired, but I'd like to know what your opinion is on that. What do you think about saying that? Because it is important. And I don't know if you should talk about the workplace mobbing. I like the last, well, not the last employer, but the employer that I left 7 years ago. It was because of the mobbing, which led to everything else. And I think it's the right approach for some reason. And I know that in my last video I had mentioned that um, as a target, especially an older person getting back or trying to go back to work, we're different than people who decide to take some time off of work. We're different than people who, just maybe want to go back to work because they're tired or they're tired of being at home or whatever. We have a completely different situation. And I think and I'm not the kind of person, I don't believe in talking about my personal life at job interviews, okay? Because it really should be focused on what you can do for the company, your skills or whatever. But, and I don't think, by telling somebody that you are a victim of human trafficking, that it needs to go into this long explanation. I just think that it's an appropriate answer because we're not like everyone else, okay? We're not people who just decided to try to go back to work after, we raised our kids or, whatever that normal people have to experience. And I'm saying we're normal too, but you know what I mean? We have a completely different situation. So, I would like to talk about that. Some of us targeted individuals have given up going back to work because it is very a difficult struggle. You deal with unethical people all the time that seem to find amusement at your situation for having to struggle. There's a lot of abuse out there. There's a lot of sick, malicious, twisted, gross people out there. And I'm personally am tired of encountering them, okay? I'm very tired of encountering them. But, the thing is you have to, and I really do encourage you to get back on your feet or try. Try to get back on your feet to the best of your ability. I know it's discouraging, I know. But, and because I know you probably encountered a lot of perps and sick people at job interviews at your workplace that you had to be at or whatever. But you have to. You don't have a choice. You could either sink or swim, and I choose to swim. I choose to swim, and it's one of those things. But I will say, when it comes to being mobbed out of work, I would say that I would never be happy about being mobbed out of work. But I do remember reading this article about this lady was talking about she was mobbed out of her job, and she said she wore it as a badge of honor because she knew that the reason why she was mobbed out of her job is because she was, in fact, a great employee and she did a great job. And she knew that the resentment from her employee and her coworkers was a confirmation of that. Now, I personally don't see. I see what she means because as a victim of workplace mobbing, that is one of the reasons why they do mob you. Okay, they mob you because you are good at your job, and they resent you. But the fact that you're good at your job, that really pisses them off, and that's not the issue. I mean, I never tried to piss people off. I've always tried to establish myself as a good employee because I have to work so hard, to prove myself. And it really isn't about competition, and it's sad that people would take it as a form of competition. I'm not. I've always wanted to find um, pull my own weight in the workplace, and I always wanted to have a good reputation when it came to work, because I do. I mean, I know there are some people who are, spoiled, not spoiled, but they have it easy, okay? They don't necessarily have to be good at their jobs, and they get rewarded. And if they screw up at a job, it just like they get another job in the blink of an eye, you know? Whereas people like me, we have to struggle, you know? And I never realized how much you could struggle, because I didn't realize, a whole lot. I mean, I didn't understand that I was a targeted individual for a very, very long time. I knew that things would crop up in my workplace and stuff like that, but I didn't realize what it was really exactly why this was always happening to me. And now I do, you know what I mean? I will say to the targets who don't know what's happening to them, if you do start recording your memories of what happened and you do find out, you're going to have a lot of mixed emotions about it because you'll feel relieved to put a face to the people who have caused you pain, but will also be extremely disturbing to you as well. Because, you think that you're just having a conversation with people, but there are actually plotting against you or whatever. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's very crazy, But anyway, yeah, I would like your opinion about talking about being a victim of human trafficking. Some of you targets don't realize that you are victims of human trafficking if you're being trafficked from one employer to another and you're being deprived rights at your workplace, you're being treated differently than at your workplace. you're, these sort of things. You're probably dealing with domestic stalking. You're probably dealing with the whole shebang. And human trafficking does play a role in gang stalking. And I do need to work on my video right now. I'm working on my professional stuff. I'm getting that together. So I'm kind of putting that on the back burner. But back to me addressing the community about, not over talking about it. It does seem like overkill, because I really do think a lot about this issue, and because I understand that, there had been a lot of accusations and rumors surrounding me, and things I didn't quite understand what was going around me. And when I talk about make videos, it's usually because I've connected more pieces to the puzzle that need to be addressed, that I feel that aren't pertinent to this issue, that it shouldn't be overlooked, um, and that's why I talk about it. As a target, you are in a silent holocaust. Is basically what you're in. And this is an irresponsible action that a lot of employers take. And because there's a lot of people who they don't uphold confidentiality. They don't know how, or they don't even think it's important to the job. They just think, having these little conversations and exchanges about other people's information, personal or whatever, is normal. And so, there's been people who've scoffed at the idea of me believing that, confidentiality should be upheld, because they're like, well, come on, you get real. That's unrealistic. That's whatever. But I really don't believe that it is. I think it's something that's imperative in order to keep a company sound and to be able to say that they have integrity. I think I've given examples before of like people who work on special projects, like for the defense of our country, people who work on, maybe, what do you call it, weapons or secret projects or whatever that relate to our country or whatever. They have jobs where they can't talk about what they do. They can't. They can't even talk to their wives about it or anything, and and I think it takes a special kind of person to do that. And I also think that it takes a special kind of person to work and be in these particular positions, because they have to protect not only the employee, but they also have to protect the company. And I do think it's important that they understand what can and cannot be discussed. You don't talk to other, for example, if you have a position, like maybe human resources or something, and you might be friends with the girl in the purchasing department, and it's not professional to talk about what's in the file of your fellow employee. It's your fellow coworker. Like, you don't talk about, their pay rates and did they get reprimanded, or, these things have to be confidential, and it takes a responsible person, somebody who can be trusted for that. Now, I don't involve myself in the government or anything like that, but I think I have the kind of personality that could do that kind of job. I can witness all kinds of top secret things and walk out of my job and not tell anyone or say a word to anyone. I understand those things, and I appreciate those things for what they are. If somebody had that kind of job and just opened their mouth and was a blabbermouth to everybody, God knows the kind of, the kind of the information that they're compromising. It's important that you can trust the people that you work who are working at this particular at the companies that they work for. So anyway, I would like your feedback on that. So anyway, yeah, I'm just kind of, I can tell I'm like I'm getting tired. That's a good thing. It's a good thing, because I look forward to sleeping, because sleep is the one thing that can shut my mind off of this issue. Like,
I don't think about being a target when I'm sleeping. Sometimes I don't dream at all. Sometimes I'm just like, I'll just get some rest. I mean, they say you dream every night, but um, sometimes I don't remember my dreams. Sometimes I do. But one thing's for sure, it's a moment of escape. And then I wake up and I'm like, oh God, not this shit again. I'm sitting here thinking about, what am I going to do? I want to go back to work. I'm tired of being sitting around the house. I hate being in the house, And then the last thing I really want people offering me is a job working at home. I would take a job working at home if I had to, but no, I really don't want to work at home. I don't want to, you know, and because I want to get out of my house, and that's, that's just more isolation with something to do, No, it doesn't really appeal to me. And I know that people trying to pose that on me as a targeted individual, they want you to be isolated. I think mainly because people wanted me to stay married or whatever. I can assure you, this community, that I have no intentions of intermingling on a romantic level with anyone in this community. Okay, not only have I no interest, but it's also the issue of me being feeling protected. It's also the issue of me understanding um, that it's not in my best interest. It just isn't. Okay, um, especially at work. Especially at work. I think that those things should be separate, and I do resent the fact that people took such active measures to force their views on me, especially at an important part of my life where I need stability more than anything. I am grateful though that I got to raise my son. I had like seriously dealt with more drama and garbage and stress than I had to while I was raising him, and it was a very hard time raising my son. But I will say, at least my son is grown now, and the only person I have to worry about now is me. Okay, so I don't need to make a bunch of money. I'm just looking for a job, but I do want something I like, you know, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. You know what I mean? I don't know how long bullshit is gonna last. I'm tired of dealing with bizarre people. I'm tired of dealing with fake job interviews. I'm tired of dealing with flighty people, people that you know can't seem to understand that don't waste my time. I don't have a lot of resources to you know um, go out and waste money on gas to go to a job interview. That's a waste of my time. So you're continuously dealing with this abusive bullshit, right? And but you have no choice but to keep going. That's just really what you have to do. But it is shocking to know that someone is willing to terrorize a person. I'm not terrorized by the action anymore, but I am put off by the people that um, minimize your suffering. They know that you're in a bad situation, and yet they just sit there and they want to waste your time. I will tell you, Indeed.com is filled with perverts, sociopaths, psychopaths, narcissistic, evil people. Okay, and for this reason, I don't suggest looking at the want ads for that reason. And I won't be looking at them anymore, mainly for that reason, because it is, I think, targets, um, certain job sites are targeting, or it can be used for as tools for human trafficking, or targeting, because you'll see things that you that list your skills or whatever, or what, and then you think you're applying to a regular job, and in fact it's not. It's some sort of bait, and it's sad because so many people grow up to think that you go to work, and you apply for jobs and you go to work and you're going to get compensated, for your work, and everything's just going to be fine. But there's all kinds of creeps nowadays. There's so many creeps out there, and I will tell you, these job boards are filled with them. Sick, twisted, malicious people. And it's sad, but it's true. So be careful about that. And then also be careful of employment agencies as well. They care very little about laws and whatever. So, sometimes you have to take the bold road, and it's unfortunate, but what else can you do, right? Anyway, I would like to hear your feedback. What do you think about coming out and saying that you're a victim of human trafficking? If you know that you are a victim of human trafficking, if you're a target and you don't know who's targeting you, I don't suggest you say that. You could. People know that you're being trafficked or targeted anyway, but still, if you understand your case well, do you think that it's appropriate to talk about you being a victim of human trafficking to explain your employment gaps? I would like your feedback on that. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and maybe lay down for a while, see if I'm gonna actually fall asleep. And I'll be back with another video some other time later. Take care. Good night.